You must decide that your future is more important than your past. That decision is not easy because the past is familiar. It knows your name. It reminds you of every mistake, every failure, every missed opportunity, every moment when things didn't work out the way you hoped. The past has a loud voice, and if you're not careful, it will talk you out of your destiny. But listen closely. What's behind you cannot compete with what's ahead of you unless you give it permission. The future is calling for a new version of you, one that is not trapped by yesterday's pain, but strengthened by yesterday's lessons. Too many people live their lives looking in the rearview mirror, trying to move forward while staring backward. They replay old conversations, relive old losses, and rehearse old disappointments, not realizing that every moment spent there is a moment stolen from their tomorrow. The past may explain you, but it does not have the authority to imprison you. What happened was an experience, not a life sentence. When you decide that your future matters more, you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And you start asking, what can I build from here? That shift alone can change the direction of your entire life. Choosing your future over your past means forgiving yourself for what you didn't know then. It means releasing the guilt, the shame, and the fear that no longer serve the person you are becoming. You did the best you could with the awareness, resources, and strength you had at that time. Growth requires honesty, but it also requires compassion. You cannot rise while dragging the weight of yesterday on your back. At some point, you must put it down and step forward with intention, confidence, and courage. When you make your future the priority, your habits begin to change. Your conversations change. Your standards change. You stop entertaining negativity because you understand that where you're going demands more discipline, more focus, and more belief. You begin to invest in yourself, your mindset, your skills, your vision, because you recognize that your tomorrow deserves preparation today. The future doesn't respond to excuses. It responds to commitment. And here's the truth. Your future is bigger than your worst mistake, stronger than your hardest season, and brighter than your darkest moment. But it requires a decision, a firm, unshakable decision that says, I will not allow what happened to me to stop what's possible for me. When you choose your future over your past, you reclaim your power. And once you do that, life has no choice but to move with you. Your circumstances do not define your destiny, no matter how convincing they may seem in the moment. Where you start is not where you are required to finish. The conditions around you, your environment, your finances, your family background, your past opportunities may influence your journey, but they do not own your future. Circumstances are temporary, but destiny is shaped by decisions. What you see today is only a snapshot, not the full story of your life. Just because things are difficult now does not mean they will always be this way. Many people allow their current situation to label them. They say, this is just how my life is, and unknowingly place a ceiling on their potential. But circumstances are not a verdict, they are a test. They test your patience, your faith, your resilience, and your willingness to keep going when progress is slow and the path is unclear. Some of the strongest, most capable individuals were formed in the most challenging environments. Pressure does not destroy greatness, it reveals it. Your destiny is not hidden in comfort. It is uncovered through struggle. What you're facing right now may be developing skills you don't even realize you're building. Strength is being formed in the waiting. Character is being shaped in the uncertainty. And vision is being sharpened when you're forced to look beyond what you see. If you allow your circumstances to discourage you, they will limit you. But if you allow them to teach you, they will prepare you for what's next. You must remember that your situation is not a reflection of your worth. Being broke does not mean you are broken. Failing does not mean you are finished. Being delayed does not mean you are denied. Life has a way of rearranging itself when you refuse to surrender your belief in what's possible. The moment you stop identifying with your circumstances, you regain control over your direction. Destiny is shaped when you rise above what tries to hold you down. It is forged when you choose discipline over despair, effort over excuses, and hope over fear. Your environment may challenge you, but it cannot cancel your potential unless you allow it to. When you stand firm in the belief that your circumstances are temporary, but your purpose is permanent, you unlock a strength that no situation can take away. Discipline will take you where motivation cannot, because motivation is emotional, but discipline is intentional. Motivation comes and goes. It rises when things feel exciting and disappears when the work becomes uncomfortable. Discipline, on the other hand, shows up regardless of mood, energy, or circumstances. It is the quiet commitment to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. Dreams are not built on excitement. They are built on consistency, and consistency is the language of discipline. There will be days when you wake up uninspired, tired, and uncertain. On those days, motivation will not save you. Motivation will negotiate. It will tell you to wait, to rest longer, to start tomorrow. Discipline does not negotiate. Discipline understands that progress is made in the ordinary, repetitive actions that no one applauds. It is the ability to keep moving when enthusiasm has faded and the results are not yet visible. Discipline creates structure in a world full of distractions. It builds habits that protect your goals from your emotions. When you are disciplined, you no longer rely on feeling ready. You rely on being committed. You train yourself to act first and allow confidence to follow. Over time, those small disciplined actions compound, turning effort into skill and skill into excellence. What looks like overnight success to others is often years of disciplined practice hidden from view. Motivation might get you started, but discipline keeps you going. It carries you through rejection, through failure, through slow seasons where nothing seems to be working. It teaches you patience and resilience. Each time you honor your commitment despite discomfort, you strengthen your character. And character is what sustains success long after excitement fades. When discipline becomes part of who you are, your life begins to change. You stop chasing inspiration and start building momentum. You become dependable, focused, and grounded. Discipline doesn't promise ease, but it guarantees progress. And in the end, it will take you places motivation alone could never reach. Places of mastery, fulfillment, and lasting achievement. Pain is temporary, but regret lasts forever. And understanding this truth can change the way you face difficulty. Pain has a season. It arrives, it tests you, and eventually it fades. It may be intense, uncomfortable, even overwhelming, but it does not stay. Regret, however, is different. Regret settles in quietly and lingers for years, replaying moments when you could have acted but chose fear instead. Pain passes through your life, but regret builds a home in your memory. Pain is the price of growth. It shows up when you stretch beyond what's familiar, when you attempt something new, when you risk failure in pursuit of something meaningful. Pain may make you uncomfortable today, but it also makes you stronger tomorrow. Regret offers no such reward. It gives nothing back. It only reminds you of chances you didn't take, words you didn't speak, and dreams you abandoned because they felt too hard or too risky at the time. Most people don't regret the things they tried. They regret the things they never attempted. They regret playing it safe, staying silent, settling for less than they were capable of becoming. Pain says, this is difficult right now. Regret says, you could have been more. One challenges you until he moment, the other haunts you in the future. When you choose to endure temporary pain, you are choosing long-term freedom. You are choosing discipline over comfort, courage over convenience, growth over stagnation. Pain reminds you that you are alive and moving forward. Regret reminds you that you stood still. The discomfort of effort fades, but the sorrow of inaction compounds over time. If you must choose the pain that builds you rather than the regret that breaks you. Choose the struggle of trying, failing, and learning over the lifetime burden of wondering what if. because years from now, you won't remember how hard it was. You'll remember whether you had the courage to try, and that choice will define how you live with yourself for the rest of your life. You have greatness within you waiting to be activated, whether you recognize it right now or not. It was placed inside you long before doubt, fear, and disappointment began to speak louder than your dreams. Greatness is not something reserved for a chosen few. It lives quietly inside ordinary people who decide to rise above their circumstances. It waits patiently beneath layers of hesitation, past failures, and unrealized potential, asking only for a decision to be unleashed. Greatness is often misunderstood. It does not announce itself with confidence or perfection. More often it feels like restlessness, a sense that there is more for you to do, more for you to become. That inner pull you feel, the dissatisfaction with settling, the desire to grow beyond your current limits, that is greatness knocking. It challenges you to step into discomfort, to risk being seen, and to take responsibility for your future. Activation requires action. Greatness does not awaken through wishful thinking or waiting for the right moment. It is ignited when you choose discipline over excuses, courage over fear, and persistence over comfort. Every time you show up despite uncertainty, you strengthen that hidden power within you. Each small, intentional step sends a message to your potential that it is safe to come forward. Many people go through life never activating what's inside them, not because they lack greatness, but because they underestimate themselves. They listen to external voices that tell them who they are and what they can't do. But greatness is not shaped by opinions. It is revealed through commitment. When you begin to believe in yourself even before the results appear, you create space for growth that changes everything. The moment you activate your greatness, your life begins to expand. Your mindset sharpens. Your confidence deepens. Your vision becomes clearer. You stop living on autopilot and start living with intention. Greatness does not guarantee an easy journey, but it promises a meaningful one. And when you finally allow it to rise, you realize it was never missing. It was waiting for you to claim it. What you believe about yourself shapes what you become, because belief is the foundation of every action you take and every decision you make. Long before results appear on the outside, a story is being told on the inside. That internal narrative, whether empowering or limiting, guides your choices, your confidence, and your willingness to try. If you believe you are capable, you act with courage. If you believe you are unworthy, you hesitate. Life responds not just to what you do, but to what you believe you deserve. Your beliefs influence how you interpret failure. When you believe in your potential, setbacks become lessons and redirection. When you doubt yourself, those same setbacks feel like confirmation that you should quit. The difference is not talent or opportunity, it is belief. Belief determines whether you see obstacles as roadblocks or stepping stones. It shapes how long you persist when progress is slow, and how much effort you're willing to invest when no one is watching. Many limiting beliefs are formed unconsciously, shaped by past experiences, criticism, or environments that underestimated your potential. Over time, these beliefs become familiar, and familiarity can feel like truth. But belief is not the same as reality. Just because you've believed something for years does not mean it's accurate. Growth begins when you challenge the stories that no longer serve you and replace them with beliefs aligned with who you are becoming, not who you used to be. As your belief in yourself grows, your behavior begins to change. You speak differently. You stand differently. You take responsibility for your future instead of waiting for permission. Confidence is not arrogance. It is trust in your ability to learn, adapt, and rise. When belief expands, so does possibility. You start to attempt things you once avoided, and in doing so, you unlock capabilities you didn't know you had. Ultimately, belief is a self-fulfilling force. You move in the direction of your strongest thoughts. If you believe you are meant for growth, contribution, and impact, your actions will reflect that belief. What you become is not an accident. It is the result of what you consistently tell yourself about who you are. Change the belief, and you change the future you're building. Small actions done consistently create massive results, even when progress feels invisible at first. Most people underestimate the power of small steps because they are not dramatic or exciting. They don't create instant transformation or immediate applause. But greatness is rarely built in a single moment. It is built quietly over time through repeated effort. What seems insignificant today becomes unstoppable when practiced daily. Consistency compounds. One small action may not feel like much, but repeated again and again, it begins to shape habits. Habits shape behavior. Behavior shapes identity. And identity shapes destiny. Missing one workout, one study session, or one discipline choice may not seem costly, but missing them repeatedly creates stagnation. On the other hand, honoring small commitments builds momentum, and momentum changes everything. Many people quit too early because they expect fast results from slow processes. They confuse lack of immediate reward with lack of progress. But growth happens beneath the surface long before it shows above ground. Just like a seed buried in soil, small actions require patience. You water it daily, protect it, and trust that something is happening, even when you can't see it yet. Consistency also builds confidence. Each small win reinforces belief and reduces resistance. You begin to trust yourself because you are keeping your word to yourself. Over time, what once felt difficult becomes routine, and what once felt impossible becomes manageable. This is how mastery is formed, not through sudden breakthroughs, but through steady dedication. Massive results are not created by massive effort once in a while. They are created by manageable effort applied daily. When you commit to small actions with discipline and purpose, you remove the pressure of perfection and replace it with progress. Stay consistent, stay patient, because one day those small actions will add up and the results will speak louder than any single moment ever could. Fear is a sign you're growing, not failing, because fear appears when you step beyond what is familiar. It does not show up when you are comfortable or playing small. It shows up when you are stretching towards something greater. If you were not evolving, fear would have no reason to exist. Fear is not evidence that you are on the wrong path. It is proof that you are entering new territory where growth is required. Many people misunderstand fear and treat it as a warning to retreat, when in reality, it is an invitation to expand. Fear often rises just before breakthroughs, not after them. It whispers doubts, magnifies uncertainty, and tries to pull you back into safety. But safety is where growth stops. When you learn to move forward despite fear, you train yourself to act from purpose rather than emotion, and that shift changes everything. Fear sharpens awareness. It forces you to prepare, to focus, and to take responsibility for your actions. It challenges you to build courage, not eliminate discomfort. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move anyway. Every time you act in the presence of fear, you weaken its power and strengthen your confidence. Over time, fear becomes familiar, and familiarity breeds control. Avoiding fear may feel like protection, but it often leads to regret. Growth requires discomfort, and discomfort is temporary. Each fearful step you take expands your capacity, proving to yourself that you are capable of more than you imagined. The fear that once stopped you becomes the fear you conquered, and that victory stays with you. When you recognize fear as a signal of growth, your relationship with it changes. You stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "What will I miss if I don't try?" Fear no longer defines your limits. It reveals them so you can move beyond them. And with each step forward, you become stronger, braver, and closer to the person you are meant to be. You don't need permission to change your life. because the responsibility for your future already belongs to you. Too many people wait for approval, wait for encouragement, wait for the perfect moment without realizing that waiting is a decision in itself. No one else is coming to hand you the life you want. Change begins the moment you decide that staying the same is no longer acceptable. Seeking permission often comes from fear. Fear of judgment, fear of disappointing others, fear of stepping outside expectations placed on you. But your life is not a group project. You are the one who has to live with your choices, your regrets, and your unfulfilled potential. The people you're waiting to approve your growth may never understand your vision, and they don't have to. Purpose does not require consensus. When you stop asking for permission, you reclaim your power. You stop explaining yourself and start moving forward. You understand that change will feel uncomfortable, and not everyone will support you. But comfort has never been the birthplace of growth. Progress often requires you to outgrow environments, habits, and even relationships that no longer align with who you are becoming. Taking ownership of your life means accepting both responsibility and freedom. Responsibility to act even when you're afraid. Freedom to choose a new direction even when the path is unclear. You may stumble, you may fail, but those experiences are teachers, not punishments. What matters is that you chose to act instead of remain stuck. The moment you decide to change your life, something shifts inside you. Your posture changes. Your mindset sharpens. You stop living according to expectations and start living with intention. You don't need permission to grow, to dream bigger, or to demand more from yourself. The authority you've been waiting for has always been yours. Your voice matters, even when it shakes, because courage is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to speak despite it. A trembling voice does not mean weakness. It means honesty. It means you care enough to be seen, heard, and vulnerable. Silence may feel safe in the moment, but it slowly erases your presence. Speaking up, even imperfectly, affirms that your thoughts, experiences, and perspective have value. Many people silence themselves because they fear judgment, rejection, or being misunderstood. They wait until they feel confident, polished, and certain. But that moment rarely comes. Confidence is not a prerequisite for speaking. It is a result of it. Every time you use your voice, you strengthen it. Every time you hide it, fear grows louder. Growth demands expression, not perfection. Your voice carries your truth, and truth does not need to be flawless to be powerful. Some of the most impactful words in history were spoken with uncertainty, resistance, and risk. When your voice shakes, it means you are standing at the edge of your comfort zone, and that is exactly where growth begins. What feels small to you may be life-changing to someone else who needs to hear it. When you choose to speak, you give others permission to do the same. You remind them that their fear does not disqualify them, and neither does yours. Silence maintains the status quo, but voices create change. Progress happens when ordinary people decide that staying quiet is more costly than speaking up. So speak anyway. Say what needs to be said. Share what you know. Ask for what you deserve. Your voice is not meant to be hidden until it's perfect. It's meant to be used, even when it shakes, especially when it shakes. Failure is feedback, not a final sentence. And understanding this truth can free you from the fear that keeps so many people stuck. Failure feels personal, but it is not permanent. It is information, data collected through experience. It tells you what didn't work, what needs adjustment, and where growth is required. When you treat failure as a verdict, you stop. When you treat it as feedback, you evolve. Every meaningful journey includes moments of falling short. If you've never failed, you've never stretched far enough to discover your limits. Failure does not disqualify you. It educates you. It exposes gaps in preparation, strategy, or mindset, not your worth. The most successful individuals are not those who avoided failure, but those who learn how to list into it without letting it define them. Many people quit too soon because they attach identity to outcomes. They say, I failed, so I am a failure, when the truth is simply this attempt didn't work. That distinction matters. One leads to growth, the other leads to paralysis. Feedback invites reflection, correction, and renewed effort. Final sentences shut the door. Life responds to those who stay in the process. Failure also builds resilience. Each setback strengthens your ability to endure discomfort and uncertainty. It teaches patience, humility, and persistence. Over time, failure loses its power to intimidate you because you realize it cannot destroy you. It can only shape you. What once felt like an ending becomes a turning point. When you stop fearing failure, you unlock momentum. You take smarter risks. You move forward with curiosity instead of self-judgment. Failure no longer marks the end of your story. It becomes a chapter of growth. Listen to the feedback. Make the adjustment. Keep going. Because your story is still being written, and this moment is not the final sentence. You must outgrow the environment that limits your vision, because not every place you start is meant to be where you stay. Some environments are meant to shelter you, but not stretch you. They keep you comfortable, familiar, and accepted, while quietly shrinking your belief in what's possible. When your vision begins to expand, but your surroundings remain the same, tension is created, and that tension is a signal that growth is calling you forward. Your environment influences how you think, what you expect, and what you believe you deserve. When you are surrounded by limitation, smile. Thinking becomes normal. Dreams are dismissed as unrealistic. Progress is questioned. Over time, even the most ambitious goals begin to feel distant. This is not because you lack ability, but because vision cannot thrive where possibility is constantly doubted. Outgrowing an environment does not mean rejecting people. It means refusing to stay confined by perspectives that no longer fit who you are becoming. Growth often requires difficult decisions, changing routines, seeking new mentors, expanding your circle, or placing yourself in rooms where you feel challenged rather than comfortable. Discomfort is not a sign you don't belong. It is evidence that you are evolving. Remaining in an environment that limits your vision slowly trains you to settle. You begin to lower your standards to avoid resistance. You shrink your dreams to avoid judgment. But the cost of staying small is far greater than the discomfort of outgrowing familiar ground. Vision demands space. It demands exposure to new ideas, higher expectations, and people who challenge you to rise. When you choose to step beyond limiting environments, your mindset shifts. You begin to see possibilities you never imagined. Your confidence grows because your vision is no longer being suffocated. Outgrowing an environment is not abandonment, it is alignment. And when you align yourself with growth, your potential finally has room to breathe. Persistence is louder than talent because talent may open a door, but persistence keeps you in the room. Talent can impress, but persistence transforms potential into performance. Many people begin the journey with ability, intelligence, or natural skill, yet fall short because they stop when things become difficult. Persistence is what separates those who start from those who finish. It is the decision to continue when enthusiasm fades and progress feels slow. Talent relies on what comes easily. Persistence relies on effort, patience, and discipline. When talent meets resistance, it often expects results to come naturally. Persistence expects resistance and prepares for it. It understands that mastery is earned, not gifted. Every setback, every delay, every obstacle becomes fuel rather than frustration. Persistence doesn't ask, why is this hard? It says, this is part of the process. History is filled with examples of people who were not the most talented, but were the most committed. They stayed longer, worked harder, and learned faster because they refused to quit. Persistence compounds over time. Each attempt strengthens skill, sharpens focus, and builds confidence. What talent begins, persistence completes. There will be moments when your talent is questioned, overlooked, or outperformed. In those moments, persistence gives you an edge. It allows you to outlast doubt, criticism, and failure. While others pause, you continue. While others quit, you adapt. And that consistency creates a gap that talent alone cannot close. Persistence speaks through action, not promises. It shows up daily, quietly, relentlessly. Over time, it outgrows talent, outworks talent, and outperforms talent. When talent runs out, persistence keeps going. And in the end, it is persistence that leaves the loudest legacy. You owe it to yourself to try fully and relentlessly, because this life is yours to live, and no one else can fulfill your potential for you. You owe it to the dreams that keep returning, the goals that refuse to leave your mind, and the quiet voice inside you that knows you were meant for more. Half effort creates half results, and half results create lifelong frustration. If you're going to try, you must do it with everything you have. Not occasionally, not conveniently, but completely. Trying fully means removing the safety net of excuses. It means committing even when success is not guaranteed and recognition is not immediate. It means showing up on the days you feel confident and the days you feel uncertain. Relentless effort is not about burnout. It is about consistency. It is choosing discipline over comfort and action over fear. When you give your full effort, you eliminate regret because you know you left nothing on the table. Many people hold back because they are afraid of failing at their best. But failing while trying fully is not loss. It is growth. Regret comes from knowing you could have given more, but chose not to. Effort is something you can always control. When you give your all, even setbacks carry meaning because they push you forward rather than keep you stuck. Relentless trying builds self-respect. Each time you commit fully, you strengthen your belief in yourself. You stop doubting whether you're capable because you've proven that you are willing. Progress becomes inevitable when effort is consistent and intentional. Momentum begins to replace hesitation, and confidence grows from action, not outcome. At the end of the day, you don't owe the world perfection. You owe yourself honesty. The honesty to try with courage, to pursue what matters, and to persist through difficulty. Give it everything. Show up fully. Stay relentless. Because you deserve to know what's possible when you refuse to quit on yourself. When you change your mindset, you change your life. Because everything you experience begins with the way you think. Your mindset is the lens through which you interpret success and failure, opportunity and limitation. Two people can face the same situation and walk away with completely different outcomes, not because of circumstance, but because of perception. What you believe is possible determines what you attempt, and what you attempt determines what you achieve. A fixed mindset keeps you trapped in old patterns. It tells you that growth is limited, that mistakes define you, and that change is risky. A growth-oriented mindset sees challenges, development, and failure as instruction. The moment you stop viewing obstacles as proof that you can't and start seeing them as evidence that you're learning, everything shifts. You move from reacting to life to shaping it. Changing your mindset does not mean ignoring reality. It means responding to it differently. It means replacing excuses with solutions, blame with responsibility, and fear with curiosity. When your thinking changes, your habits change. When your habits change, your daily actions align with your goals. Over time, these small mental adjustments create massive transformation. Mindset determines endurance. When life gets hard, and it will, your mindset decides whether you retreat or rise. A strong mindset doesn't deny difficulty. It accepts it and keeps moving. It allows you to stay disciplined when motivation fades and hopeful when results are delayed. This resilience is what separates temporary success from lasting growth. The most powerful changes in life are internal. Before your environment improves, your thinking must evolve. When you change how you speak to yourself, how you view challenges, and how you define success, your life begins to reflect that shift. Change the mindset, and the life you live will follow.